when people are on the internet, like poo-pooing people who are accomplishing things, specifically in, the physical fitness realm, people who are flexible, who are hypermobile, who are strong, who are fast, who are demonstrating athletic skills, who are doing tutorials of martial arts and, all of these different types of things. And then you've got a whole group of people who are getting on there talking about how, you're in your 20s, or, just criticizing the diet and, I could never do that, and 20 hours of fasting sounds crazy, or this or that. And without ever trying anything out, without ever giving it a thought, and then, this is on social media, online, and you look at their profiles, and, you dig through, because I like to observe and people watch and kind of figure out, what's going on and where these messages are coming from, or, are these people exercise scientists? Are they nutritionists? Are they athletes that do this stuff? Do they have coaches? Are they psychologists, hypnotherapists? Like, what are they doing in practice or research or anything at all, right? Because, you don't have to be a practitioner specifically of one specific thing to make a commentary on it, right? But, you can ask questions and even raise doubts, but the issue is like just a straight dismissal and bashing and name calling of it, just right out. That stuff really amuses me, and it puts me into like Psykill cop tour mode, from like the GoBots, where they're like, might makes right, where I just look at people who do that stuff and I'm like, you're just a bunch of whiny weaklings. It puts me into bully mode, because they're just going around attempting to bully people online who are doing stuff from their little keyboard, right? And then not doing anything. And it's just, it would be so much more profitable in all kinds of ways if you just got off your ass and did something, whatever you can do at your level. If you don't do push-ups, try some squats or lunges or some crunches, or go for a walk, or do something, do something physical, attempt a new way of eating, sleep more, start somewhere doing something. But the whole, man, and you know what? And I gotta remember one of my distant parasocial mentors, that I'm looking at a lot. Gary Vee has a lot of empathy for people, and it's so difficult for me, because I get it too, because I know from things in my family too. There came a point in time in my life when I realized, I said, oh, they're doing that because that was done to them, and I understand it. And the thing is that I'm not that bright, so I feel like, but then again, I don't need to be having the audacity thinking that just because other people should, right? I don't see it that way. It's just difficult to believe that almost nobody does. It's hard. And so that's why I feel like sometimes people are just doing this because, they don't want to put in the work, and they're just going to be evil and demonic just because it's too hard, basically, right? It's too difficult for them. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to put in any work. They don't want to make any effort. And so it's difficult for them, so they're just going to go around and bashing people. Because what the funny part, here's the crazy part about it, is that people wouldn't be doing that. They wouldn't be going around making all this fuss about the accomplishments that other people are having if they weren't envious of it. Because if you didn't care, you would just stroll on, swipe on by. You wouldn't take your time to pause the time out of your day that you could be doing other stuff to just try to be evil to somebody, to just try to put them down, to try to break their spirit. People say all kinds of things. I saw a video dancing, who does this kind of shuffle dance thing, and somebody just goes in there, butterface, right? And then another guy some other time was on her page that I saw. It's like, your face looks 20, but your body looks 20, but your face looks 40. No thanks. It's like, what the fuck does that have to do with the video? Like, what's crazy is the girl looks like she's having fun. It's not my style of dance. I prefer doing capoeira and like some kind of crazy weird like martial ninja dance that I do. I don't know what the hell it is, right? But like, just move on. You don't like it. You don't think she's cute. Like, what? I mean, I don't know. I have a dry and questionable sense of humor, and so maybe I'm just mistaking that people think that that's funny, but aren't really taking the time to maybe think that some other people, that might really hurt them. And in a day and age too, when, you know, commerce and finance and business and things like that are shifting, and for some people that is a way of life, like a livelihood for them, and some people need to be encouraged. And I'm not saying, you know, I think that people should have resilience and should you know, have tenacity and have a you know, a thick skin, but not everybody does. And you could be breaking somebody that needs to make something out of their life. And I mean, that's just one reason out of many, just to leave people the fuck alone. Like, go on and do something. You know, actually is interesting enough, would be even better, is if you went and made your own content like this, and you want to be a critic, then make a critic show. There were movies back, I mean, not movies, but there were movie critics back in the day, and they had their own show, like these guys called Siskel and Ebert, and they had a critic show. And there are people who, you know, make a living and make a channel off of that. So if you really want to express yourself, then create some content out of it, and maybe it might even be funny. But to go to that person, you're just despicable. Like, it's just gross, because here's the reason why, because it's not even productive. Like, I'm in defense of those people that you're bashing. I'm gonna bully the bullies, because what I am looking for is to uplift people. When I go to those pages, if I don't like something, I don't say anything. The people who I'm actually responding to sometimes are these idiots. Most of the time I don't, but I try. I do my best to phrase it in a way where it just kind of points it out, where I say things like, you know, I've, you know, read somewhere that people who go around the internet, or heard somewhere that people who go around the internet and put people down without being provoked are really sad and lonely and have something going on with them. And I really hope that, you know, if they don't get help now, they get help somewhere, you know, at some point in time, you know, something like that, which is, I don't know, is that passive aggressive? Maybe. But I just think that, because what I'm doing is I am, wow, that person got lit up. They were speeding. See the flashing lights on me? So, but and you might have heard the car, like, I was wondering what he was doing. I saw them sitting there off the side of the road. It's the Dade Sheriff's Office. Saw them sitting off on the side of the road, and all of a sudden they just took off past me. And I'm just thinking, wow, what was that about? Now I got an ambulance behind me. But, so my perspective is, you know, I'm in here just talking about the opposite. Like, I go to some of these pages and I look at this stuff, because my feed is filled with the people who are, you know, doing like showing hypermobility exercises in martial arts and these kind of things, right? Let me get out of the way of this. And, you know, so that's what I'm doing, is I am going there to learn more, or just see examples, or get some reinforcement, and to, you know, to be encouraged and stay motivated, and just kind of keep that in my scope of experience and perception. Because, you know, one, just from experience, I've learned that that's one of the reasons why I've been able to stay on point with a lot of things. And then after having studied clinical hypnosis, I realized that that is a way to self-hypnotize and keep myself in the loop of everything, which is, interestingly enough, one of the reasons for continuing education courses for, you know, various different professions. And then I learned metaphysics, and learned also this is a very similar, you know, type of reinforcement. It's that is what is necessary to be done, is to continually keep before you those things that are going to encourage, your higher living. And so I just, and it's funny because you would think that having, in one way, I'm filling my feeds and basically creating my artificial intelligence curated playlist by carefully selecting what I want to see in my feed, right? Because that's how I perceive, the interest graph is basically like a glorified high-tech playlist creation software is what an interest graph really is now, is that by you selecting things, it's going to give you more things that are in your interest. It's gravitating towards you. And so, I would think, I'd like to think that by going there that I'm just going to be able to see the things that I want to see. But unfortunately, I'm curious about the comments and just to kind of see other people's perspectives, because I make thoughtful comments on those things, or just encouraging ones. Like, I was just on Vanya Move's page, which is where I saw some of this stupid stuff, and I just said, and she was explaining how, she eats like a predator, and then said, and I just put like, wow, I found my kin. And then I looked at the other comments to see if there were any other positive comments, and it's 50-50, weirdly enough. It's just, or maybe even, but it looks like it might be 60-40 towards the people disparaging and negative. And I'm just thinking, man, like these are mostly just whiny weaklings who are not open to experiencing something outside of their familiarity zone, who are not going to attempt to do anything new, who just, it's sad. You got to feel, don't necessarily feel bad for them, but just kind of understand that they, whatever's going on with them sucks, and it's unfortunate. And they're actually already living in, experiencing their own misery. You don't really have to do anything. Sometimes some things you can say and the way you phrase it and word it might actually perhaps encourage them to change, but and I know about change, and I know that people can change. So, and of course, because I've changed my opinion and my ideas on things many times throughout my life, so I know that it's possible. So, maybe people can change, if they're steered the right way, or, guided the right way or whatnot. But sometimes, sometimes they're not. But I actually find it amusing, and I also find it amusing, like some of the ways that I comment on there, and it is kind of passive aggressive. And so that's my little amusement, and I don't know if that's my kind of like sinister sickness or problem that I have, and that maybe I need to slow down with that. But for now, I'm still gonna, you're weaklings. You're whiny weaklings, and if you actually, with all that envy and jealousy that you have, that take that energy and transmute it and redirect it and become better. That is the best way to get rid of that kind of stupid energy that you have, is to actually just start becoming better, little by little. Don't compare yourself to the other people who you're looking at and maybe seeing, wow, they're so far ahead of me, and I'm obese, or I feel like I'm broken down, and all this and that, and so therefore I'm never going to get there, so I'm going to just try to break them down. Instead, give something constructive a shot. I mean, I personally know it works, so I have experience with it working. I also have case studies and case histories of it working for clients, and then other people's clients, and then being able to do research around the good old interwebs, and then asking various different artificial intelligence bots. There's a way to be better for us all, and everybody's better is not the same, and everybody's best is not the same, right? You may not get to be at a pro level MMA fighter, but you can certainly get better at mixed martial arts, at MMA. You can get a little bit better than you are. Just give it some effort. Take that energy that you have in this whiny weakling weakness of trying to break people down and do something constructive with it. Even read a book, go do something else, or just watch the video and learn from it, and keep putting stuff like that and repeat in your brain and shut up. But hey, who am I? I'm nobody. I'm just a guy who is enjoying the fact that I feel free in my physical body, and that I've made a lot of really great choices with my health, and that I'm living true to the title and subtitle of one of my longest running websites, which is exercisingyourmind.com, where it says wealth attraction research, great health is the truest of all wealth. And I stand by that. And and I also like to add, just because people might think of health only in the physical sense of the word, but I think that I like to look at the word health in its related words, which essentially means whole, as in the word holistic, heal, healing, wholesome, health. Those words are all related and mean whole, integral, integrated, right? Integrity, like integral calculus, or like even algebra, which kind of translates to the coming together of parts. So, excuse me for the geeking out on that for a second. I tend to do that. Which reminds me, I do want to do some geeking videos where I talk about how certain things in like science and medicine remind me of and are analogous to things in like related to technology and AI, or just even like metaphysical and some psychological concepts, and specifically related to also in clinical hypnosis, and what I have been promoting, which is metaphysical hypnosis. And I'm building something called the Institute of Metaphysical Hypnosis, IMH, which is kind of like a play on initials of where I graduated from, HMI, the Hypnosis Motivation Institute. I'm doing IMH instead of HMI. And I am H. I am Hakeem. So, good times. And yeah, just people, we can do better than just going around and disparaging things, when instead you can take that energy to be better. But hey, I don't know why people might think, why are you trying to help these people when they're just going around being miserable? I don't know, maybe I'm not. I just wish that, because my life is not easy. There's so many difficult things that are going on in my life, and I'm just pushing through and being resilient and doing my best to find, integration with work, and I find a lot of that because I tend to gravitate towards and continue to put effort into things that I have a high tolerance for, meaning that even though it might not be the ideal thing I want to be doing all the time, it's seamless enough, it's smooth enough for me to be able to earn my living and continue to go about doing other things that I want to. So, some people use the term work-life balance. It's not really that. It's just I'm doing my best with what I have, and thank goodness, once again, this will wrap this up, but one of the most amazing things, just to repeat, that has actually really helped me to remain resilient is physical resilience. Like the fact that I stay physically fit and my body is in tune, and I can squat and jump and run, and I have high endurance, and even though my endurance right now also is not at the superhuman level that I want it to be, it's still way above average. It's just that some of the things that I do sometimes, when I start flipping and jumping around, I get out of breath, and I'm just thinking to myself, wait a minute, it's only been 3 minutes and I'm slowing down a little bit, and that's just because I haven't been in the gym doing 5-minute rounds of kickboxing. I'm doing a lot of maintenance work, which I know from the level where I am now, it's really easy to go back and do that stuff and do those longer bouts to get back in it, but that's more like training for competition, which is No, it is. It's more training for competition, which I'm not competing, except for with myself, if we could put it that way. So it's more training for like in a competitive way, just to keep up a certain high level. But it's not required and it's not necessary, because even if I'm not going the same speed, I'm still going the same distance. So, I might not always be, I don't know, what was a really good long distance fight as opposed to like that Mike Tyson debacle that everybody hated on, right? So that went to distance, but a lot of people thought it kind of sucked. I'm not there, but I'm also not in like those really crazy banger, like full long distance fights, like those full 5-minute round of like MMA championship fights, or like these 15 round boxing matches that are just like killer fights, somewhere in between. And it's just fun, because I'm way above the level that I need to be to really enjoy my life and just feel good about everything that I'm doing. I get some really nice long breaks, like I'm about to get out of the car in a minute and get to walk around, and the weather's really nice right now. I just left Homestead, which is just a little bit south of Miami, and I'm just approaching the area where University of Miami is in Coral Gables, and it's 78 degrees. Today I've been driving around with my windows open most of the time, and it's just felt really good. It's a little humid, kind of, sticky, but not really bad at all. So it's good. But again, what I was really wanting to cap this off with was that being physically fit and feeling good in my body actually helps with my mental resilience, and dare I say my spiritual, I don't know. Just I consider a lot of times spirituality for me to be emotions. So it keeps my spiritual stability, I'll say, is a lot more in check as long as I stay physically fit. And I know by comparison that it was thrown way off when I wasn't. And there was a short period of time when I really let myself go. But fortunately, I got back in the saddle, because it's just a much better place to be. And I can see too how when you're not feeling good in your body, it affects the way you feel mentally and spiritually, and you can go around attacking people, and it sucks. So I know that part of the remedy to a lot of people's ailments and ills and woes is just getting some exercise in, taking a walk, breathing in some fresh air, eating cleaner food, stop putting all those crazy burdens on your body. And when your body feels better, so much more feels better. Just like how the Shaolin monks, as one of the stories go about how that started, was that Bodhidharma saw that the monks, while they were meditating, their bodies were getting soft, so he decided to teach them yoga and martial arts in order to keep them strong and fit so they can have these long bouts of meditation. And that is one of the stories of the origins of Shaolin Kung Fu, which, who knows, I'm not sure, because I never really went into it. I just accepted that as a cool anecdote, just as much as I accepted some of the stories about how capoeira started. The slaves couldn't practice their martial arts, so they had to disguise it as a dance, and so on and so forth. So it is what it is. It's just it's a very interesting tale that helps us remain motivated or capture an essence, like mythology, folklore. It helps to pass on some vital information. So that's it. Being physically fit definitely helps with my patience, with my emotions, and with so many other mental acuity, so many other things in my life that just make life better because I focus on those things. So let's get it. Let's be as best as we can.